Let's rock, baby.
Devil May Cry, released in 2001 for the PlayStation 2, published by Capcom and developed by Team Little Devils, led by Hideki Kamiya. Yes, that Hideki Kamiya. Devil May Cry was an important step in the character action and overall hack-and-slash genre, utilizing important prior innovations like Z-targeting from Ocarina of Time, puzzle design from Resident Evil 2, and combos from 2D fighting games, and combining them all into a demon-slaughtering package that remains stylish and sweet all the way through. I first encountered the game on somewhat of a retro binge. I had recently wrapped up playing the Metal Gear Solid series, which is also goated, and was playing through Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. For those that don't know, MGR is also one of the best character action games ever made. And it made me hungry for more. Many folks were telling me to hop on DMC3 as my first foray into the series.
I'm absolutely crazy about it!
As it's the earliest point in Dante's life that we get to play, and it is much more modernized compared to the prior two games. However, I tend to play games in release order, and hot off the back of the Metal Gear Solid series, I was not a stranger to some PS2 jank. I started with Devil May Cry 1, and I never looked back. For those that don't know, when Team Little Devils began work on Devil May Cry, it was originally planned to be Resident Evil 4. This changed during the prototype phase of development when the gameplay started taking a departure from the typical Resident Evil gameplay. That's not to say that it's completely gone, as the remnants can still be seen in some gameplay elements. But the real action happens in between your key item deliveries. Devil May Cry differs from its contemporaries in its surprisingly timeless implementation of 3D hack-and-slash combat, centered around the style meter. Sure, you could move spam enemies to death like it's your first time playing a fighting game, or you could vary your moves and earn that stylish S rank the way Kamiya intended. While fighting, you'll build up a meter called your Devil Trigger, which, when activated, makes Dante assume his demon form, granting higher damage, health recovery, and enhanced moves. Devil May Cry features a system in which you collect red orbs from dead enemies, bosses, and environmental destruction, which you then use to spend on upgrades. These upgrades can range from helpful items like gold orbs to give you more lives, purple orbs to increase your Devil Trigger, blue orbs to increase your health, or even to the juiciest, new moves. You can buy new special moves for either of your main two weapons, the Lightning Element Sword Alistair or the Fiery Gauntlets Ifrit. These new moves are great at helping extend stylish combos or just melting a frustrating boss encounter. Special moves aren't the only way to rack up that style meter. Each weapon has its own basic combo in which you hit the attack button in succession. The real sauce to this sandwich happens in the delay. Your basic attack string will change based on how much time you wait between pressing the button again. When wielding Alistair, you can spam your attack button thrice for a basic combo, or you can delay your third strike and unleash a flurry of smaller attacks to tear through an enemy. With Ifrit, you can hold the attack button on any hit of your combo to charge up a more powerful version of that attack. An enemy that would normally take, say, 5 hits with basic Ifrit punches and kicks gets destroyed with 2 charged attacks. In addition to your primary weapons, called Devil Arms, you also have guns. You start off with the dual pistols Ebony and Ivory, but very quickly find more weapons to fill out your arsenal. Guns can be powerful, but typically you'll use them to supplement your melee strikes. Guns do not have any variation in shooting akin to your Devil Arms, but there are cool tricks you can learn, like reload roll canceling. This is what makes the base of your style meter gains, with special attacks further adding to it with more unique moves to use. Wait, we need to talk about the style system. Here's the rundown. At the bottom, you've got D rank. If you do the bare minimum and kill an enemy, you'll likely end up here. Going up in style, you've got C, B, A, and the legendary S rank. In combat, your style meter doesn't mean a whole lot. No damage gain, no reduction, no buffs or debuffs. Instead, the enemies you face will drop more red orbs depending on your style ranking, but otherwise, the incentive is all intrinsic. Are you up to the task of fighting as stylishly and cool as you can? At the end of missions, you'll be given a separate ranking, also ranging from D to S. This rank is based on things like the damage you take, the amount of time to clear a mission, and how frequently you achieve higher style rankings in combat. The number of times you hit each style rank is counted in the background of your gameplay all throughout, and contributes to your overall mission rank. When you get your mission rank, similar to your combat rankings, you'll be rewarded with a number of red orbs corresponding to that rank. So, if you get D rank, you'll get maybe 100 orbs. Then up that to B rank, you're looking at 500 orbs, and so on. If it's your first playthrough, you'll generally get enough red orbs to unlock plenty of special moves and upgrades to mess around with. So don't get too hung up if you're getting lots of D ranks to start. You'll get the hang of combat, and the game will reward you with tools you need to defeat the lineup of baddies in this game. Speaking of baddies, we got Phantom, Griffin, Nello Angelo, Nightmare, and of course, the big bad boss himself, Mundus. All are going to stand in your way of beating Devil May Cry. You also have your minor demons, your marionettes, your sin scissors, blades, fetishes, nobodies, and so much more. The bosses here range from absolute cinema, underappreciated peak,
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
to absolute dog shit. That makes you want to rip the developers' faces off before you figure out their gimmick and stomp on them. Ultimately, none of the bosses are too tough, especially compared to later enemies in the Devil May Cry series. But all are fun to some capacity, with varying levels. I don't want to spoil too much for anyone who hasn't played it yet, but here's my ranking if you're interested. I'd be remiss not to mention another big part of what makes Devil May Cry so good, the replayability. If you're first starting off with DMC, I'd recommend starting with the normal difficulty. Then, after beating the game, Dante will prompt you to challenge it again on hard difficulty. Here, enemies will do twice as much damage, and spawns will be changed. More difficult enemies will start to spawn in earlier areas of the game. Do it all again, and the Dante Must Die difficulty is unlocked, where the same hard spawns are kept, but now enemies will enter their own Devil Trigger state after enough time in an encounter has passed. Enemies in Devil Trigger have reduced damage taken, more damage dealt, and are less susceptible to knockback and hit stun. Additionally, you no longer recover health while in your own Devil Trigger, and bosses are going to deal 5 times the normal damage. I've played normal and hard difficulties plenty, and I think they're fairly balanced for the experience they're going for, but personally, I've never tried my hand at Dante Must Die. I've heard that it can be a nightmare, especially compared to later entries versions of Dante Must Die, but that if you're crazy about difficult games, then it can be fun. Another aspect that enhances replayability are secret missions. Secret missions are hidden within regular missions, typically found when re-entering a previous area, and they reward you with blue orb fragments. There are 12 secret missions in total, meaning 3 full blue orbs or health upgrades. These missions can range from stepping on baby phantom spiders to getting enemies to kill each other, varying in difficulty. In my experience, without going out of my way to find them, I usually encounter 2 to 3 secret missions per playthrough, and they add a nice little bit of variety to the game. On subsequent playthroughs, rather than getting blue orb fragments as rewards for completed secret missions, you'll be given yellow orbs. Try to find all the secret missions if you want. I've only found a fraction of them by playing naturally myself, not going out of my way to try and find them. That's Devil May Cry. But what do I think? The Devil May Cry series is one of my favorite series of all time, with Devil May Cry 1 being one of my favorites within it. However, do I think it'll be one of your favorite games? Maybe not. While DMC 1 holds up surprisingly well in terms of its combat being fun to this day, I'd be lying if I said it was without its flaws. The story is good, but pretty minimal, with Dante visiting Malay Island to discover more about Trish, a woman that looks shockingly like his mom, who was killed by the demon Mundus when he was a child. You've likely heard clips like this.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Or this.
Block off, Featherface, or you can stick around and find out the hard way.
While later voice acting in the series is pretty incredible, let's just say that DMC 1 has some lovable rough spots. Moving on to gameplay. While the game encourages you to achieve higher style rankings during combat, the game is very strict in its timings. If you go more than just a few seconds without attacking an enemy, your style rank will drop completely, and this is only exacerbated with guns like the grenade launcher and the shotgun blasting enemies back. While the style ranking system in this game is pretty good, it really shines in later entries where it's refined and movesets are larger, making it easier to climb and maintain styles, with extra ranks being added, double S and triple S. Outside of combat, the game is incredibly vibey, with some of the best gothic atmosphere I've seen in gaming, but you're not doing much other than running around from point A to point B. Malay Island is a joy to explore, but in exploring, you're primarily finding MacGuffin A, bringing it to door A, to end the mission and unlock the next area, which is explored in the next mission. Some missions are as simple as run X item to Y door before your life drains, or even just escape X area in Y time. The missions aren't the most creative, but in my opinion, they don't have to be. Sometimes a more linear experience works better for a genre, and I think the linear level design of DMC1 is perfectly fine for what it is. By far, the most discussed aspect of this game in relation to others has got to be the camera. In Devil May Cry 1, the camera acts in cinematic fixed camera angles, likely a remnant of the game's original Resident Evil DNA. While this lends itself to the atmosphere of Malay Island, highlighting the beautiful environmental work done in the game, it does sometimes hinder the combat. 1 second the camera will be facing the enemy you're fighting, but then you walk a little too far in another direction and the camera shifts, moving the enemy off screen while they ready their next attack against you. It's not uncommon for enemies off screen to be attacking, or at least trying to attack you. While some may feel disdain toward the fixed camera angles of DMC1, I personally enjoy it and feel it's somewhat a breath of fresh air in character action games. It really does highlight some gorgeous scenes in the game, and for the most part, it does a pretty decent job following Dante and the enemies you're facing. Is it perfect? Heck no. As a matter of fact, it improves greatly in subsequent entries, barely being a point of contention by DMC3. But it wouldn't be DMC1 without it. Whether or not the fixed camera works for you is entirely personal, and I don't blame anyone who has issues with it coming from more modern action games. But to me, the camera is one of the biggest charms of DMC1. You just don't get that anywhere else. DMC1 may be flawed in terms of what's available today, but it was a marvel back in 2001. In a gaming landscape that's filled with multiplayer live service slop, there's a genuine wonder in revisiting an old game that focuses on making a game feel and look good to play. Devil May Cry as a franchise is excellent with this, and Devil May Cry 1 is a great starting point to launching yourself into the series. Is it the best action game ever made? Not by a long shot. It's not even the best game in the series, but it holds a niche that isn't quite filled by subsequent entries, and personally, it remains one of my favorite games to replay. Thank you all so much for watching this video. This is my first time trying to make an actual scripted video, and it means a lot that anyone cared to click on it and see what I think. I love just talking about things that I love, and I plan to continue that with a DMC3 video next. I know DMC2 would make more sense, but I'm saving that for the end, as I've never actually played through DMC2 before, just roughly like a third of the game. If you have any recommendations for video ideas or feedback on this one, please feel free to share in the comments, or if you hated the video and disagree, thinking DMC1 is dated and awful, let me know too. Does anyone actually think that? Either way, thanks again for watching, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You make time to clear the cobwebs off your mind. You may find yourself unwind.